Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And once again, welcome to the African Reform channel. This is a channel where we talk all things African Reformation with an emphasis on Ghana. I am your host today. My name is Uche Noka. And we have with us, as always, a distinguished Dr. Nii Amu Darko. Before we start, I'd just like to remind everybody that Dr. Nii is on social media. So please do follow him on all of his social media platforms. If you are going to follow us on YouTube, which I'd really advise you to do, please go ahead and subscribe, but also hit the notification bell and select all when they give you the option. So every time we're getting ready to upload a new episode, you'll be notified. Okay? I also want to encourage everybody to send all of your questions in. Send it in via the chat function on the live stream so that Dr. Nii can answer them whilst he is on the air. All of Dr. Nii's books that he's mentioned in previous live streams can be purchased at the address at the foot of your screen there. So please do make a note of that. If you do miss any of these, please don't worry, because once you go to the YouTube channel, all of these things are listed there. I just wanted to bring this to your attention again. Okay, so without further ado, let us go right into this topic today. Dr. Nii, will you go ahead and let everybody know what it is you want to speak to us about today?
Good day, everybody, wherever you are, in UK, in Ghana, in Australia, everywhere in the world. Good day. And Lucia, thanks again for coming. Today we're talking about the set code and the fair state. Everybody knows that one of my favorite themes is the fair state. Actually, I've written a book on that. It's one of the books that you find on the book nook. Today we are talking about the set code and the fair state. Very, very, very important, because there's no state without citizens, and every citizen must be identified. It's very important for the state to know where every citizen is for many reasons. Dr. Agri, you all know him, Agri of Africa. He was once asked whether he would like to come back again, if there was reincarnation, whether he would like to come back as a white man or as an African. And most of you know his response. He said no, he will come back as an African and then come and teach the African the good things he had learned from the white man. And that's my message to you today. Wherever you are, please learn the good things there and bring them to Africa. Like Dr. Agri said, only the best is good for Africa. And today, I'm going to talk to you about something I have learned in Australia that I want to bring back to Ghana in a better form. And that's what I call the states code. Can you please have the first slide?
Yep.
The set code and the fair state. What is the set code? Can you please go to the next slide? Personal identification. Like we say as children, Jack Toronto, where are you? It's very important that I know where Jack Toronto lives. It's very important that the state knows where Jack Toronto lives. It's very important that Jack Toronto knows where I live. Now, to identify somebody, we have the person's physical characteristics and then the person's physical address. Today, we are going to talk about the physical address. I know at the moment, there's something in Ghana called digital address. I'll tell you one thing. The digital address just tells you that this is where this place is on this latitude or whatever they use. Expensive and very, very limited in its application. We'll come to that later on. But we are going to...
Sorry, just before you move on, Dr. Nii, was there ever any discussion prior about the need for a physical address, or is it the way it's always been regardless?
No, there hasn't been any address about that. At least in the Fourth Republic, we've had how many elections? And at no point in time did any of the contesting parties talk about physical address. You know, so far as they are concerned, everything's all right. But that's what happens when you don't know anything better.
Right.
That's what I would say. If you don't know anything better, whatever you have is okay for you. But that's why Dr. Agri said that when you go out, don't go and look at the ordinary things. Go and look at the best things and bring them back to your country, because that is what Africa needs. Only the best is good for Africa. And that's what we're talking about today. What I'm going to talk about in Australia, they call it postcode, because that's what the postman uses to bring your letters to you. But its application in Ghana, I call it SETS code. And it's about physical address and how it can be used to create a fair state, how it can be used to create equity, and how it can be used to improve the lives of every Ghanaian. Can I have a next slide, please?
Yeah.
Now, the SETS, SETS, stands for Socioeconomic, Tax Code, and Service Code. Now, socioeconomic, because it tells us about the population in a particular postcode or in a particular coded area. And not just the population, but the kind of people who live there, their income levels, their employment, and the service levels there. Now, you understand that if you want to create a fair state, then there must be a certain kind of redistribution of income in a way that favors, or in a way that helps to create some disposable income for the poor. And that's what they call the tax code. For instance, if you know that this coded area, the average income there is $100 a month, and another coded area, the average income there is $10,000 a month, you are not going to charge them to pay for the same rate of water. You're not going to do that, because doing that means that these people over there, where the average rate or average income is $100 a month, they will not be able to pay. So what you do is what they call cross-subsidization. Cross-subsidization. You are going to charge people where they earn $10,000 a month. You're going to charge them more so that you subsidize for those who earn less, so that they all have reasonable service. And the same thing applies for electricity and other social services. So that even if you build 2 clinics, one in this area and the other one in the other area, whereas you could say that this other area, the people in that coded area should have free primary health care, you could charge the people in the other place because they have excess money, excess liquidity, and use the part of the money to cross-subsidize.
Just a quick interruption on that. We've had a number of situations over here where these kinds of scenarios have been posed. And it's typically the rich 1% who'll say, well, it's not our fault that we had all the opportunities like we took. It's not our fault we're in these white collar jobs. Why are we being penalized to pay for you? Why should we have a higher tax bracket than yourself simply because you've chosen to work here and we have chosen this path of life which has led us to work there? How would you answer those questions?
No, they are not being penalized. They are paying for the service, except that they are paying for the service at a higher rate. The same way, if you earn $200,000 in Australia, your marginal tax is 45%. If you earn $50,000, your marginal tax is 30%. It's progressive taxation, so it's not being penalized. Everybody will have to do his share, and the whole idea is to create social mobility so that those who are in the lower area, their children will have the opportunity to do better than their parents, so that they also move up and they also pay for somebody. But we cannot have a system where you charge the one who can afford at a particular point in time the same rate as the one who cannot afford, and by so doing, the state actually denies the person who cannot afford the service. What it means is that it creates tension in the system. People have to go. To create violence. But when people can see what they cannot have, they will force to have it. The state must try to bridge the gap. And bridging the gap means that you have to be able to identify those who cannot genuinely pay and those who can genuinely pay. And this is part of the reason why you need a set code. Because the areas will be coded, and attached to their code is their socioeconomic activities there, their income levels, what they can do and what they cannot do, the services which are there, the services that can be provided to make it life worth living.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next slide. How do you create the set code? Next slide, please. So, the template for the set code. As we have said before, under EcoFed, we're going to divide Ghana into states. 8 to 10% of the population will form a state. And then each state will also have 5 districts divided equally in terms of population. And each district will have 5 constituencies also divided equally according to population. So the template is this. Let's assuming the state called Greater Accra will be represented by 2-letter acronyms. So G for Greater Accra, A is for Ashanti region, W are for Western, something like that. Then 1,000 codes for each region. So Greater Accra, if the code starts from 1,000, it means that from 1,000 to 1,999 will be for Greater Accra. So if you see any code which says that 1,550, you know that this person lives in Greater Accra. Okay. Now, if you see a code which says that 2,030, the person lives in the Ashanti region. If the code says 7,050, the person lives in this other state. Okay. Now, then within the region, you give because each region has 1,000 codes, you give each district 200 codes. So, for instance, if Osu becomes a district and decide to give Osu 200, then we can say, okay, so from 1,200 to 1,399, these codes will belong to Osu, and Osu will then distribute the codes to the suburbs in Osu. So the final destination of a code is a suburb. Now, these suburbs are grouped in such a way that when they say 1,201, we know that is this suburb. And it is that suburb whose socioeconomic class will be identified. All right, so the end of the coding system is the suburb. I'm from Osu, say Blogodo. Now, if Osu is 1,200 to 1,399, and they say that, okay, Blogodo is 1,220. Now, the moment you mention the code 1,220, we know the socioeconomic class of that area.
Okay.
We know the services there. We know what is lacking, what is not lacking. We know what they can pay, what they cannot pay. And then planning is done on the base of that data. All right. So within the suburbs, we have the street names and the numbers. So this is the template. So first of all, you have the number on the street name, the number in the suburb and its code. And of course, then you have the region and its acronym. So let's go to the next slide. So example of set codes. Now we are in Ashanti region. So we have a street called Usetutu Street. And then the first house on that street will be given number 1, Usetutu Street. Now this Usetutu Street is in the suburb called Manshia. So that's Manshia there. 1 Usetutu Street. Manshia is a suburb. And the code for Manshia is 2001. Now, if we decide to pick 2,000 for the whole Ashanti region and decide that the first 200 will belong to the central district, then the first one that is from 2,000 to 2,199 will belong to the central district. And Manshia is number 1. Then you can say Bantama is 2002, or this suburb is this suburb is. So you have now, once you mention 2001, we know it's Manshia. Then you can pin the socioeconomic class in Manshia. You can pin the economic activity, the average income, this and that, the service they have there, the population. You know the population and the service they have. So the second line is Manshia, A.S. Ashanti, and 2001 is a code for Manshia in Ashanti. So then we have the suburb, the state, and the set code. Or you move to Volta region. There's a street called Togbe Street. The first house on that street is Togbe Street, number 1, Togbe Street. Now, the suburb is Keta. And the state is Volta. Now, the code for Keta in Volta is 4,100. So the moment you mention 4,100, everybody knows that that is Keta. Then you can get all the data on Keta and what they can do, what they cannot do, and what support they don't need, what tax level do they need to pay regarding the service they receive, as against another suburb in Volta. Okay, next topic, please. Oh, is that the last one? So quick.
Yeah, we go very quickly today. Yeah.
All right. So now, benefits of sets. It's easy and practical basis for national identification. As we are speaking now, if you ask 90% of Ghanaians their house addresses, they can't tell you. Because it's either F122/1, as in those two Ashantes, F199/1, also Ashante Blohun. I know it because I want to know it. But I can tell you that people at home don't know. They don't know because we don't live with that. It's not part of our daily, it's not part of the way we do things. Everybody say, oh yeah. If you get to this place and you cross you see a woman there roasting plantain, ask the woman that you want Niamu's mother, and she will show you the place. That's how we live. If there's a severe asthma attack, an ambulance is going there, he's probably going to go to the same system. Because it's not part of, it's part of the state that hasn't, it's part of the structure that hasn't become part of our daily lives. It doesn't matter to us. And that's why we're struggling with all these voter register, this and impersonation, because you cannot pin a person down to an address. You see, once we have this in place, you realize that.
So at present, so if I wanted to send a letter to somebody in Ghana, anywhere in Ghana, how would I address it? How do people in Ghana currently receive mail?
Well, they go to the post office boxes. Some people, for instance, I had a post office box in Accra, so that, but I don't live there now. People who know me use my post office box for their letters because they don't have it. And the post office box we have there is, if Ghana is 30 million people and we even have, say, 5 million houses, okay? So the ideally each house should have a post office box. I don't even think we have 500,000 post office boxes. I don't think so. I don't think we have even 500,000 post office boxes in Ghana for 5 million houses. Because it's not part of the living, it's just when tape recorders were there, cassettes. People overseas, they make cassettes and they send it to their parents and people, and they play and they listen. Yeah, so it's just that.
Wow.
So those who are fortunate to have postal boxes, yes, they will use that one. But there's no letter delivery like it happens in Australia or in the UK. No, there's no home letter delivery because we don't have that system in place.
Right.
And we've never had it. But this is like, to be honest with you, in January 2016, when I was in Ghana, when I was going to launch the ARM at the trade fair, one weekend, I did a call for Greater Accra and Ashanti region up to district level. Just one weekend. I just sat down 1 weekend for the whole of Greater Accra and all the districts in Greater Accra. And for the whole of Ashanti, all this in the Ashanti region. But between now and then, they've created new districts for no good reason. So what I did is now obsolete.
Okay.
But the next level I was going to do was go to the constituency and the suburbs. I didn't get to that. But I'm telling you that there are so many children working around there who have finished school. This is no hard work. You say, okay, you've gotten 1,000 codes for Greater Accra. You've gotten 200 for these districts. Now you're going to get the constituency in the district, give them 5 constituencies, 200, so each constituency will have 40. Now go there and give the 40, give 40 code to the. I mean, most of you don't even have probably you did only 20, but it's future proofing. If there's a new suburb, if new suburb develops, you give the new code to the new suburbs. Okay, I don't think I don't think the regions have 1,000 suburbs. Okay. They may probably have 500, 400, but you have extra that when there is a new suburb, it goes to the new code. You future-proof all these things. You plan ahead and future-proof all these things. Now it becomes it's easy and practical. Oh yeah, I'm number 1 to set to street, Manshia. Oh, I'm number 1 to to Obi. What's your postcode? 2001. Here, one of my postcodes in Australia is 3555. Once we mention anybody puts into the computer, your suburb will come up immediately. And in that suburb, they can tell you the average price of houses.
That's right.
They can tell average price of house. They can tell you everything happening there in that suburb. The number of brand new cars they have and second hand. They give you information that if you want to rent the place, you decide, oh, this is a place that I want to live. They even give you crime statistics. It's all part of the social organization. It gives you, there's too much crime here. In the same way, if you are going to insure your car, depending on your suburb, you pay more insurance than the other person.
That's right. We do that here too. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have that system. We don't have, but we are calling ourselves a state. Now, people think that I should be talking about things happening in Ghana right now. We just lack the capacity to understand that a house is built on foundations, not on the painting of the color of the painting of the house or the number of bulbs in the house. We need to build the foundation of a state, and this is where it begins. That the state can be identified, the people who live the state can be identified and can be attached to a particular house so that they could be traced and they could be helped as and when necessary. We don't have that. Like I said, the second one is population and socio-economic classification. We need to know the number of people who live at a particular place because it goes into service provision. If you are building a classroom of 50, if you are building a school of 100 chairs for a population of 500, if you are going to build for a population of 1,000, you have to build 200 to be fair. And that's what the first is all about. But if you don't know the populations in the localities, how do you plan?
That's true.
How do you plan? If there's no measure of anything, data is poor in Ghana. But once you put these things in place, well, I mean, just by whatever, you realize that the number of times people use the code 2001 or 1001, you immediately have an idea of the number of people who live in the place without much struggle. And when it comes to population census, it's a lot simpler. You can do it postcode by postcode. I mean, you create a structure that can help to identify the needs of the society.
Yeah.
And that's the last part. Focus and appropriate service delivery. Focus and appropriate service delivery. If 1,000 people are living in a place, it's not the same as 3,000 people living in the place. But if you don't have an idea of the number of people who live there, then you are going to guess and you are most likely to have it wrong.
Yeah.
That's the problem we have as Africans. We estimate everything. People forget that science is observation and measurement. And your result depends on how accurate your measurement is. whatever we do, our results are so poor because our measurement is zero. We estimate everything.
Yeah.
And we don't measure anything. So I hope that what we call here the postcode, I'm calling the set code because it's going to solve most of our problems with socioeconomic identification, going to solve most of our problems with tax and how we pay for things. I mean, we can get a lot of money if we decide that we are going to tax this group of people in this place so much and relieve, because as I'm speaking to you now, most of our taxes come from the ports of entry. And when you tax the ports of entry that way, it flows on to the consumer because the person who's importing whatever will put the tax on the things that he has imported and will sell it to the consumer. So government takes money from the importer takes money from the consumer. We can relieve that burden if we have a set code system that identifies where the state can get more money and the people can afford that more money, rather than the blanketing we put on places which are very essential for economic development and economic growth of our country. So one of the key things I would do, like I told you, one weekend I did the code for Greater Accra and Ashanti, the two biggest regions. And there are so many children walking around unemployed. You get 10 of them, you give them each region to do, and they'll be able to do it within for you in a week.
Yeah.
That is so inexpensive as against the digital one they have done there, which has no socioeconomic application, which has no service delivery implications, and which has nothing to do with rate and taxes paid by residents of different locations. So we are moving slowly. We are building the foundation for it. Like Dr. Agri said, I've learned this good thing from the white man here, and I want to bring it back to Ghana because only the best is good for Africa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nii, for that wonderful presentation. So let me see. Let me go. Ooh, we've got some questions here. Okay. Right. One from Shika Awuno, sorry, mispronounce your name. How does SETS fit into the concept of population counts in light of the national census the state is planning to undertake?
SETS fitting well. You see, if we have had this system in place, you realize that by now we have a very good idea of the population because all we need to do is to just count the postcodes and the figures that we get from the postcode, we add them all up. So we know where we are starting from. Now we are starting from no basic knowledge. No basic knowledge. Nobody has an idea. There are people who live in Osu or who live in Ghana or who live in anywhere. No idea. But if we have had this for the past 5 years, 10 years, by now, and that's why when they estimate the population of Australia and they do the census, is within plus or minus 2%. So accurate. So accurate. In actual fact, we were here and they told us that they've delivered the 25th million Australian. When the child was born in Queensland, they said, oh, because they know exactly every single house, they know who live in the house. So they know the number of people who live in a particular postcode almost to the last point. So by the time they add everything, they announced that the 25th million person has been born right now. And that helps so that you know that this place, the population has moved from 10,000 to 12,000. When you have 12,000, when you have 2,000 more people, then you know that if 53 or if 60% of them are young, they know that you need 1,002 more classrooms, a chairs in the classroom. You know, it's not difficult, and that's why councils, or what you call them, you call them boroughs in UK. That's why city councils are very powerful, because they have the numbers exactly, and they say, no, we got to put a new school here because the number here means that we got to do something different. The number here has changed over the last 4 years, and we have to create space and facilities for these new people. We don't have any system at all.
Okay.
They're going to build a hospital, and you ask them, why are you building 50-bed hospital? Why not 20? Why not 100? They can't tell you.
Yeah, because I haven't got the data. Yeah.
They can't tell you why they are building 50 here and 100 there. Oh no, if you put 100 here, we get more votes. It's not based on anything. Because we don't have the basic data that governs our projections and our infrastructure. But this is going to be the beginning. So now it will fit in very well. Now, if, for instance, we have the census and we have the code, at least for now, we can start saying that, okay, from this code, we got 10,000 people. Okay, from this code, we got 10,000 people. So that's where from then on, we can use the code to do proper estimation.
Yeah.
So it's a good supplement to the census if it's done properly.
We've got a comment here from Larby Collins. He says, I believe these set codes will ease housing census and help our security services.
100%. 100%. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You see, because once we have the code, it will ease housing census grossly. It will ease it completely. And of course, it will help the security service because you can pin a human being to a physical address.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. We have to start building a state. We cannot live as an independent sovereign for 64 years and have no clue where person A lives or person. In fact, the person A himself doesn't even know where he lives. In terms of address, he will show you by way of a kiosk or something which is next to the place and blah blah blah. You know, we just don't know and nobody cares.
Okay. Another there's a comment from Shika earlier. At least the new GPS system we have now is an improvement on the PO box system we had. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not good. It's not good value for money. Definitely not. The GPS system we have it's broadened. I mean, like I said before, I don't think we even have 500,000 PO boxes for 500 million, for 5 million houses. So definitely that's a non-starter. The GPS system that we have, the money that they used to do the GPS system, they can use 100,000 of that to set up set code. Meanwhile, it doesn't give any other information apart from this person lives here. It doesn't give us information about the socioeconomic class of a particular area. It doesn't give any other data apart from that, oh, this is the GA, whatever of this place. So yeah, it's an improvement in terms of identification because the post office boss doesn't identify you at all. It doesn't identify you at all. But in terms of service delivery, it gives no information whatsoever. It doesn't even tell anybody the number of people who live in the house. But Sesco will change that.
Okay. The final question, again from Shika. How about the fluid movement of people in search of better economic opportunities? How does SETS capture that?
Yes. What it means is that once people know, once the SETS is established, very much here, people also move here, said that they move within the same state, 99% the same state. Okay. But once you move, there you inform the state authorities that your address has changed. I always get mails to ask me whether my address has changed or not. Okay. electoral commission here, which is based on the state, will send you information at the beginning of every year whether your address has changed or you keep the same address. Once it goes through electoral commission, which becomes a primary source, all government agencies have that updated system in place. So if somebody leaves state A to state B to a certain suburb, the suburb has got a code. That suburb already has got a code, and now he lives on Shikawuno Street. So the person now lives number 1 Shikawuno Street, Weta, VT 400102. So we know that Shikawuno Street is in the suburb of Weta in Volta, and the code for Weta is 400102. If the person moves to Accra and comes to Niamu Street, Blogodo, GA 1212, then everybody now knows that the person now is in Blogodo, in Greater Accra region, and the code for Blogodo is 1212. Very simple, because the code is already there. It's the person who is coming to join it. So then the moment he joins it, Blogodo, okay, right? You just write it. Actually, sometimes we don't even write the state. Once you write 2, we know it's Sydney. We know it's New South Wales. Once you write 3, we know it's Victoria. Sometimes you don't even write, because once you write the code, you put it in the system, the suburb comes up immediately. You got to move forward.
Yeah. So how was something like this be rolled out? How easy is it to roll out something like the SETS code that you're proposing?
It's very easy. You see, like I told you, one weekend I did for Greater Accra and Ashanti region up to the district level. Now all the districts have changed, but if we have EcoFed, okay, now we have EcoFed in place, we've got the state, we've got the district, we've got the constituencies, and within the constituencies, we have the suburbs. Okay, so we divide 1,000 code for whatever state, and the state divides the 1,000 code among its 5 districts. So each district gets 200 codes, and the district divides its 200 codes among its 5 constituencies. So each constituency gets 40 codes. Maybe the constituency has got 20 suburbs now, 10 suburbs. So then it will distribute the code to the suburbs. Very simple. One day you can do all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you have 1,000 to the state. The state decides to divide into 5 districts. It gets 200, and each district decide to divide into for the 5 constituencies. It gets 40. So at the end of the day, you are dealing with just 40 suburbs in a constituency, not 1,000 anymore. So now the constituency at that level can try to give the 40 suburbs the codes to the suburbs in the you can do it in 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
So would this kind of system be, it would work depending upon the EcoFed system being in place first of all, or yes. Can it work now? Okay, it can't work now.
It can work now, but you see, we are starting, it's very difficult because the regions are not the same. The regions don't have the same population. So as we are now, there's a region with maybe 500,000 people. You can't give that region 1,000 codes and give a region with 500 million 1,000 codes. It's good because the regions are not equally weighted, but on the EcoFed, each region is between 8 to 10%, so it's almost equal. So you know that 1,000 codes, if it's good for region A, it will be enough for region B. Because the populations are the same. But now Greater Accra is probably, I'm sure if they do the census, Greater Accra will probably be 6 million. And then there's another region somewhere that's maybe 600,000. How do you get 1,000 codes to share, each to share?
Yeah, you can't. Okay.
So yes, the what?
There's one comment from Shika again. She means by Aussies, basically, but Aussies are different from Africa, or Australia's different from Africa. Imagine someone in Lagos telling the state they are moving, or the girls from your north tripping to Accra.
Dr. Agri said that if he should reincarnate, he will come and teach his African people the good things he had learned from the Americans. We are not different. We have the same needs. We have the same everything. It's just poor leadership that has made our people so backward. If Agri believed that we were that different, he wouldn't say that he will bring something that has worked there to us, because it will not work if we're that different. But he left Ghana there and realized that we are the same. We are the same. I'm here, and there is no two ways that nobody is better than me. And I'm not better than anybody. We are all the same. As you know, I'm on call. I just came back from the hospital to go look after white people. And I'm not anything special. Back at home, I grew up with people who used to think the same way as I did. But I've come here, I've learned something better, and I'm going to bring back to them so that we can also be like them. Like God told Cain, if you do the right thing, will you not be accepted? And like Marcus Garvey always says, what one man has done, another man can do. It's all about leadership and the force of persuasion. If the girl living in North to Accra knows that it's in her interest for the state to know where she is, because if there's a help or anything, she could be located and the help will give it to her, she will do it. We just have to train ourselves that we are not different. It's just that we haven't caught up. And we have to catch up. There is nothing special about what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, we have a similar system in South Africa. Again, it was a white man who did it. But the South Africans are copying with that. When I was there, they had the same system, actually, practically the same system. But it wasn't geared. I mean, in those days, they used the code for their own, apart they use the code for their own things. Okay. Now it's no longer like that. The black man hasn't revised it in a way that will make it more meaningful to his own people. That is a problem. That's a problem. They have it there. But only the best is good for Africa. Whatever I've learned here, I've tweaked it here and there, a little bit here. And I know that applying in Ghana will be more meaningful than even how it's applied here. Because they take everything for granted.
But
we are learning to catch up. And what I'm saying, others may find other uses to what I'm saying. I'm sure somebody sitting there is saying that, oh no, but we can also use it for this, or we can even do this. You see, that's the whole point. Einstein said that stay away from negative people because they find problem for every solution. You see, I'm sure that people there who are saying, oh, I think that's a good idea. We can even apply it this way. We can even apply it this way. And that's what the whole thing is about. A leader doesn't have to know everything, but the leader will have to be able to understand the direction. Might as well give direction. And then the minutiae could come from anybody. Any more comments? Any more questions?
Well, just one last comment is from let me see, get her, yeah, Lucille. She said that she loves your answer to Shika's last question.
Hey, Miss Bannerman. Lucy is a distant cousin. She is here with me.
Okay.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it is. We can do it.
Yeah.
What one man has done, another man can do. Marcus Garvey.
Yeah. Amen. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, Dr. Nii, once again for your wisdom, for casting vision and helping us look at things in a deeper and different way. And I thank you for that. I want to thank you to all of you for joining us here on the African Reform Movement channel. Thank you for your questions. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And also click the notification bell so you'll be notified each time we're going to be putting on a new episode. But more importantly than that, share these videos. Let people know about Dr. Nii and his vision for Ghana. Send it far and wide. Share it. Let people know what he's talking about and let people also join in the conversation so they can have their questions answered as well and see that this thing actually is possible and doable for Ghana in our lifetime. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, and that's it until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.